but Nitron sees it appear behind Nitron. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much for the kind comments on my previous video, being so excited for this series to return. I really do hope that you enjoy these reviews, such as this one for the 14th episode, Mind Games. I got a little nervous that this episode actually wasn't going to start on Molecula. The Sentinels beam in, and then the theme song starts playing. But it's just one of those episode previews. We do indeed start on Molecula, where Gorganis is whining to Lechner about how hard it's been to try and take over the Earth, but he has an idea. If he can take over Nimbar's mind, the rest should be easy, right? So of course, he's going to send down Neuragula, the monster that deals with brains and psychic powers. Right?
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
In this case, Gorganis summons the Sorcerer, telling the monster that he has a special plan for it, and it better not fail. I don't think I've made this point for this particular show yet, so I will say that failing usually means getting destroyed by the Sentinels, so that's kind of an empty threat. At the cafe, Lori is freaking out about a big trigonometry test. Gordon offers his tutoring service. Actually, he's consulting for Swinton. However, Lori gently lets him know that she already asked for Swinton's help and he'll be arriving soon. So, sorry Gordo, no commission for you. Swinton arrives and he looks different. His glasses are gone, he's dressed very nicely, and he's acting different as well, very suave and sophisticated. His dad, nope, have no idea what his name is, comes in with Swinton for some reason. He doesn't even grab coffee to go. He just checks with Lori that Swinton really is tutoring her and says how glad he is that Swinton is spending time with his classmates. He leaves. Thanks for showing up, I guess. And just as Swinton starts to explain the new hymn, their tattoos flash. When they arrive, Nimbar points out that they not only arrived quickly, but also weren't arguing with each other when they arrived. Interesting little callback to the previous episode, and just in general, it seemed like the writers were kind of trying to show the audience that these characters have grown over time. Another thing the writers seem to be bending over backwards to do is explaining and pointing out the reappearance of monsters and that the Sentinels understand that. There's even an exchange where Gordon points out that the Sorcerer seems to be pretty peaceful at the moment, and Nimbar points out that the first time they saw the Sorcerer, they were scared to death of it. He tells the Sentinels to watch out for the Sorcerer's tricks and oddly barks for a louder "understood" from the team. They transform and head out and have a rather short fight. They zap the Sorcerer a bunch, but it doesn't really seem to do any damage. But then the Sorcerer suddenly bows to them, leaving his wand on the ground and teleporting away. Taurus takes the staff and they teleport back. They come back, job well done, etc., etc. Gordon shows Nimbar the staff and he freaks, telling Gordon to get rid of it right now. Throw it in the portal, do it now! But just before Gordon can, Nimbar stops him. No, Gordon. I'm sorry. I overreacted. Everything is fine now. Place the staff up here next to me, please. I'll watch over it.
Shut it!
On Molecula... Okay, this is weird. We've seen monsters talk before. Isolus comes to mind. But apparently the Sorcerer can't talk. Lechner wears a mind-reading helmet that lets him hear the Sorcerer's thoughts and basically speak as the Sorcerer. No voice actor in the budget this time, I guess. Anyway, the staff is in place and the Sorcerer can now feed Nimbar thoughts. Back at the school, the others quiz Swinton on his new look and style. He's even replaced the Einstein poster in his locker, which I don't remember ever seeing, though Drew references it, with a rock and roll poster. Not a poster of any particular band, just a poster that literally says rock and roll.
Sean Connery, you wrote Swords.
Swinton finally says that he will discuss it with them, but not here since it touches on Sentinel business. Drew says they can talk about it at her place, and Swinton goes right back to the nerdy voice and the glasses asking for a ride. Swinton says he overheard his parents discussing transferring him to Witt Academy, a private academy for the very intelligent. They feel like he doesn't fit in with his classmates, and thus they think he's not happy and should be around kids that are more like him. So Swinton started acting like the other Sentinels to fit in better because in his mind, transferring to the Witt Academy means that he can't be a Galactic Sentinel anymore.
Excuse me, what?
First things first, I checked, and Witt Academy doesn't seem to actually exist, either as Witt Academy or Wood Academy, so I couldn't tell you where it's actually supposed to be located. But assuming it's not some kind of military academy with super strict rules, I don't see why this would prevent Swinton from being Apollo. It's got to be near their house somewhere, right? Drop an extra line about how it's actually a few states over, super prestigious, kids from across the country apply to get in, etc. The others tell him to drop the act. His parents are going to see through it soon anyway. If it comes down to it, they're even willing to act more like him to convince his parents that he is fitting in, seeing as they value his contributions to the team. Oh, I saw some hilarity coming down the tracks, but I was wrong because this wasn't touched on again.
I was the wrong one!
Speak of the Blob, Nimbar summons the Sentinels. Nimbar doesn't say much when they arrive, just again noting that they got there quickly and saying, "Look," showing them the Sorcerer on the screen. They head on out, but arriving on the stock nighttime city set, nobody's there. They shrug and head straight back. Swinton theorizes that the portals may have sent them to the wrong where, or the wrong when. Since there was no damage and they'd had a battle there previously, they established the possibility that the portals may have sent them slightly back in time before the Sorcerer attacked the first time.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
The Sentinels pepper Nimbar with questions, but he can't respond, only saying that he's thinking. Of course, this means that the Sorcerer is thinking, and Gorganis tells it to proceed to stage 3. Nimbar tells the team to hush, that he was just thinking, but now he's got it all together. Using multimodal reflection sorting, he realized that the portals bounced off a solar eclipse near Mars, and that's what happened. What's more, now that that's all cleared up, his scans show that not only has the Sorcerer left Earth, but Gorganis has fled their entire galaxy. Just like that. All of a sudden. He summarily tells the team that they have won, they are done being Galactic Sentinels, tattoos deactivated, thank you so much for serving, there's a portal, don't let it hit you where Zordon split you. At the cafe, Lori and Drew reminisce about being Sentinels, unsure how to feel now that it's all over. Gordon walks over, equally thrown by just being himself again. But then, a TV on the bar reports
that aliens and monsters were attacking his place.
Swinton comes running in, trying to tell the others basically that Nimbar's explanation was completely bogus, but they hush him, telling him that Gorganis' monsters, yes, plural by the way, I'll touch on that later, are on the attack. They put 2 and 2 together pretty quickly. Gorganis never fled, the Sorcerer never left, it's controlling Nimbar via the wand. However, there's one small, actually rather large problem with all this. They don't have their tattoos anymore, or access to the power portals. Swinton gets an idea.
Really? What is it?
Let's leave!
Telling the rest of the team to meet him at Drew's house in half an hour, since, hey, they've only got so many sets. At Drew's house, after a little banter, Swinton arrives with a callback. the science project from the very first episode. You see, that project opened a portal once, and if they replicate what they did then, they can open a portal now.
You're wrong.
The only problem with that is that in that first episode, Nimbar says that he saw them together, thought that they would make a good team, and sent them a portal. The science project thing was just a massive coincidence.
Get your story straight.
Arriving back in the cave, Nimbar tries to shoo them all away. Gordon grabs the wand and pulls it away from Nimbar, and suddenly he snaps back to himself, telling Gordon to quickly throw it in the portal.
I have several questions.
Earlier in the episode, Gordon tried to toss the wand through the portal before Nimbar stopped him under control. Why now is that short distance enough to break the spell? Anyway, they all congratulate Swinton on figuring this all out. Apparently, the portal just gave the wand right back to the sorcerer as it's attacking the city again, and clearly Gorganis has maximized its power. Clearly. Nitron is their only hope, I guess. The Sentinels head back out, and credit where it's due, they do clearly have a tougher time with the Sorcerer. I've gotten on Power Rangers' case before for the Rangers saying, "Oh man, this monster is tougher now," without seeing any evidence of that on the screen, so kudos. They form Nitron, and this fight is pretty quick, but I did kind of like it. There was a neat part where the Sorcerer pulls an Obi-Wan, disappearing after a slash into just a cloak. However, Nitron sees the Sorcerer appear behind him in a reflection on his sword, kneeling and blasting backwards. Not a bad little fight. After a blah blah villain wrap-up, Gorganis blames Lechner, saying this was his idea. Okay. Swinton finishes up tutoring Lori. His dad comes in to pick him up, noticing that he's not in that new look anymore, and wait! Did they really want us to think that this was just 2 hours later, on the same day? It was nighttime when they fought the Sorcerer. Heck, it was nighttime at Drew's house when they went back to Nimbar's cave. How would his dad have not... Did he stay?
Don't even worry about it.
Swinton fesses up to hearing his parents discuss the transfer and says, hey, you know what? He doesn't actually fit in. He's younger and smarter than his contemporaries. And Drew says, you know what? They think that's just fine. Gordon walks over and asks what's going on, and Swinton's dad says that he just learned something about his son and his son's friends. They're all invited to a cookout on Saturday so they can spend all day with their good buddy Swinton. It's free food, folks. How about you lose the oopsie daisies faces and let's read some signs. Episode 14, Mind Games. Pros, a sense of progression, more focus on Nimbar, and a good creative plan from Gorganis. Cons, what time is it? Referencing the past without remembering the past, and using the wrong monster. I want to say really quick, remember that I grade each show I review in comparison only to itself, its own standards. A 3.5 episode of Beast Morphers is significantly better than a Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters 4. And coincidentally, Mind Games gets 4 signs out of 5. This episode seems to have a very intentional sense of time having passed. I've been noticing in the past couple of episodes a more intentional mention of having seen monsters before, specifically Nimbar mentioning that they've been sent again. But it's also just in how the team interacts, referencing back to the first episode, which honestly, I said this show is really episodic. This might be the first case where any episode specifically has to be placed after any other episode, except that really every episode has to be placed after the first episode by story necessity, so that doesn't mean a ton. And just a general sense of growth and the Sentinels starting to value each other as a team. We haven't really gotten a lot of focus on our beplattered blob, so it was nice to see Nimbar get a little more attention. I'm starting to just accept that for a show like this, deep and complex backstory might be a portal too far, but it would be nice to get just a little bit more characterization for Nimbar. Heck, eventually we learned that Zordon once dressed up like a ghost and went to pick flowers or something. And hey, Gorganis must have watched my review of the previous episode. Don't dismiss it, they established in this episode that portals can move through time, so you never know. Because he had an actual plan today. Trick the leader into disbanding the team and then attack. And I said I was going to mention this later on, and here we are. We never exactly hear the consequences of the multiple monsters that the TV said were attacking across the globe. A lot of damage may have been done.
What time is it?
The biggest knock on this episode is the time scale that it takes place in. I will admit that doesn't have too much to do with the story overall. It's just far more glaring than it even usually is. I have criticized the use of the nighttime city set, which they seem to select kind of at random, like a video game randomly picking an arena, because it messes with the timing of the episode, and that was the case in this episode as well. The weird thing is that they tried this time, giving us Drew's house at night before the last battle. But then the end of the episode implies that it's the same day. I just praise this episode for giving us a sense of progression. They remember the recent past and they've moved forward from it. The biggest example of that was referencing back to the science project from the very first episode, which started the four down this road. And that would have had more impact if they had referenced that properly. The science project, a secondhand smoke detector or purifier, I was never really clear on that and I don't really remember now, secondhand smoke something, had nothing to do with creating the portal. Nimbar sent the portal at the same time of the accident. It was just the writers keeping it mysterious about what exactly caused the portal and what they were getting into. When you have a limited set of monsters that you're going to cycle, I can understand through the first run through of them feeling kind of forced to use them all one at a time and writing stories around them. But once that's complete, you're free to use the monster that makes the most sense to your story. If you're going to do a mind control story, use Neuragula, the psychic monster. You've done a mind control story with that monster once before. I'm not saying that the Sorcerer was a terrible fit, magician, hypnosis, etc., but Neuragula would have been better. This is a little subcon that I actually was going to mention. I included it in the script, and then when I got to the end of the script, I had forgotten what it was, so I removed it, but I remembered it while I'm filming, so here we are. When the TV mentioned that multiple monsters were on the attack and the military was getting ready to respond, I was really hoping to hear a "Where are the Galactic Sentinels" line, similar to the "Where are the Power Rangers" line that we've heard before. Remember the Ghost Warrior. The world does know about the Galactic Sentinels. But this is closer to what I like from this show. There is a moral this time, be yourself, but it exists almost in the background to the action part of the story. There's intrigue with what the Sorcerer is doing, and a decent character look at how the Sentinels actually enjoy being superheroes. This was a nice, fun little episode that I rather enjoyed. Oh, heroes! Next time is a rather infamous one. If there's anything that this show is remembered for besides its goofy costumes, it is a scene from this particular episode. I'm not going to spoil it. Let's just take a peek. Oh, that is kind of a spoiler. At the 15th episode, A Nightmare on Rodeo Drive. Dude! Emperor Gorganis sends the Sorcerer to bring the nightmares of the Galactic Sentinels to life. The Sorcerer? I'll comment on that next time. For now, that's going to do it for another Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button down below to like the video. Comment what you thought of this episode as well as my review of it. Make sure you're subscribed and get your notifications set up. And consider financially supporting the channel on Ko-fi or Patreon. Until next time, heroes, may the power portals protect you. Thank you guys so much. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills ding on my phone. He tells the aka the Sentinels, to fit in with them. but I'm assuming that earlier in the episode, Gordon tried to toss the